Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. Headline: £150 a night for migrants. Why don't we try a tent, or maybe more than one tent? The UK is spending 150 quid a night to house illegal migrants in hotels. That's each one. Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, says it's time to use tents, just like they do in France and Germany. Is that a smart solution or a step too far? In this video, we're going to break down the migrant crisis, Reform's bold plan, and whether Labour will indeed act. I somewhat doubt it. My name's Jon Gaunt. This is your forum. This is the show. Get commenting now. Thousands of illegal migrants have entered the UK since Christmas, and with summer approaching, the seas getting calmer, even more are expected. I think it's been about 11,000 so far. Well, Reform UK's Andrea Jenkyns, she's just become the mayor for Lincolnshire, she's reignited the debate by suggesting tents should replace costly hotels, which, as I say, can cost 150 quid a night. It's unsustainable, that level of spend. France and Germany are already using tents, and I don't know whether you knew about this, but the UK nearly did this as well when the Tories were in power under Suella Braverman in 2024. She bought massive marquees. I'm suggesting army tents, but she was held back by the Human Rights Brigade and Labour. Critics say, of course, it's inhumane. Supporters say, no, it's plain common sense. Where do you stand? It's cheaper for taxpayers, surely. And it would also act, surely, as a deterrent to anybody else coming across if they see they're going to end up in a tent, not in a hotel. One thing is clear. We're in the middle of a national emergency, and the current system is collapsing under pressure. We haven't got any money. The U-turn's become another U-turn. He hasn't got money to give old age pensioners money for heating. How can we possibly afford to spend this kind of cash? I want your views. Tents for migrants, with thousands arriving since Christmas and hotels costing millions, as I say, about 150 quid a day per migrant. Is it time to change and go for tents? Have you got a view on that? I'd love to hear it. My name's Jon Gaunt. As you know, I'm here right through. This is a good joke from Craig Urquhart. He's our first commentator today. He says, I'm going to buy shares in Go Outdoors. Yes, very funny, Craig. I'm suggesting army tents. Listen, we do this when there's an emergency anywhere in the world. The Royal Engineers or whatever it is, the logistics, they go over, put our tents up. They've got bathrooms, toilets, they've got kitchens, and people are looked after like that. What is wrong with that? It's what they're doing in France and Germany. There has been criticism of it. I won't hide from that. And it isn't the nicest of things. But when you think these people anyway are coming from the jungle at Calais, where they're not even in tents, why would they complain? I don't think they would if they were genuine migrants. £150. Just concentrate on that for a moment. A night. That's what you, UK taxpayers, are paying to house illegal migrants, and they're all illegal in hotels. But with thousands crossing the channel since Christmas and numbers only expected to rise as the good weather comes in, is it sustainable? Of course it's not. And then, of course, there's the unscrupulous hotel owners who are making an absolute fortune. I condemn them because they let go of all their staff when this happens. All those staff in village communities and towns lose their jobs because they keep one person on to do the cleaning, a couple of people, I think, to make cups of tea, but the rest of them are made redundant. And the Home Office buy the hotel for 2 years or 3 years. It's unsustainable. It's ridiculous. So, Reform UK's Andrea Jenkyns has sparked this massive debate. She's been a bit stupid because she's been talking about little tents, but suggesting what she says is a bold alternative, housing asylum seekers, I say, in army-style tents, just like France and Germany already do. It's important to stress that other European countries are doing this already. Her proposal follows the earlier 2024 plans by then Tory Home Secretary Suella Braverman. She bought tents, she bought marquees exactly for this purpose. It never happened because everybody got upset about it. Somebody's just made a point here. Stephen Hibbard says Nightingale Tent City would be the best option. Yeah, during COVID, we put up hospitals, didn't we? So we can do it. We've proved we can do it. Let's do it again. Let's put up Nightingale-style hospitals. There'd still be a cost implication, but it wouldn't be anywhere near 150 quid a day. Are you with me or against me? This could be a big show. So get telling me now the costs. Right, just at this moment, the UK is spending hundreds of millions of pounds, right? They reckon it's something like 5 or 6 million a day on hotel accommodations for illegal migrants, often over 150 quid a night per person. Is that fair to the British taxpayers? Couldn't that money be better spent elsewhere? I don't know. What about policing? What about the NHS? What about the dustbin men and women of Birmingham so we don't have rats the size of cats? Charity starts at home. Or alternatively, of course, because we're talking about army tents, why couldn't the money we save be used to house and treat and look after our homeless veterans who are on the streets? Are you with me or against me? Do you think it's inhumane? You might think, yeah, I'm into the tents, John, but I still don't think it's right. It's not what a civilized country like ours should do. I've been getting loads of flack about this on X or Twitter, or whatever it's called, and I'm expecting to get a load more. But let me just be clear. I'm not talking about being cruel to the migrants. They would still get medical care. They'd still be looked after. They'd get their legal assistance so they can make their applications. But once they fail, if they did fail, straight home, out of the country. But this would be a deterrent. They would see the tents and think, I don't want to do that. I wanted to go to a hotel with squeezy soap, as I always say. France uses tents. So does Germany. So do many other European countries as they make their journey across to get to Calais to come to Dover. In fact, many of those crossing the Channel, they weren't just living in tents in Calais, they were living in makeshift encampments made out of pallets and old bits of polythene and tarpaulin. The jungle. Where they're living in Calais before they get onto the dangerous boats to cross the Channel was much worse than what I'm proposing. Mine's a humanitarian proposal. The French are treating them dreadfully. So how come the mere suggestion of putting them in tents is seen as cruel in the UK, but appears to be common practice in or on the continent? I want your opinion. I'm going to come to you very, very soon today. So I think tents are a solution. Do you? Do you? Let's spend that money on policing, the NHS, or housing for our own homeless population. Of course, Labour and left-wing activists and all the charities who are supporting these people in Calais will immediately condemn this plan as inhumane. But I've got a feeling after the vote last week that Andrea Jenkyns has hit the nail on the head. And most people don't want to treat migrants cruelly like me, but they're fed up to the back teeth of spending all this money. There's things that we want to do in this country. So we'll look after them, but they can go in tents or marquees. What do you think? Let's not forget that it's the same Labour Party that opposed Suella Braverman's plan in 2024. But Sir Keir could do a U-turn on this. He's done enough U-turns, done more U-turns than Stig out of Top Gear, hasn't he? So why doesn't he? This is a national emergency. We can't carry on spending £6 million a day on accommodation for people who've not paid 1 penny. What? That was 2. 1 penny into the pot, can we? Our public services are already under massive strain. The immigration system is overwhelmed. Something has to change. What do you think? Let's see what you're saying at the moment. Craig says he's buying shares in outdoors. Hi, John. Lease a large warehouse, beds, tents, bathroom facility inside. Call in the army for the catering and the security. Immigration officers to visit and fast track these illegals back to where they came from. Well, that's a good point you're making, Regan and Carter, because we have got to remember that these people have come here, and the delay when both the Tories were in power and indeed now Labour is too long. We have to process the applications quicker. We also have to leave the ECHR or whatever it's called. We can't have other people telling us what we can do and who can and cannot live in this country. So if they haven't got a right to asylum, it's bye-bye, chocks away, Stelios, and send them home. Again, fairly and equitably. But I'm fed up of politicians not willing to talk about this. This is the issue that every politician was saying was on the doorstep. This was the thing people wanted to talk about. People are very upset about it. Very upset. The illiberals on Twitter, they think, though, they were telling me today that once a hotel is no longer a hotel because it's being used as a hostel, I can't call it a hotel. So I looked this up. And do you know who's come out with that? The new definition of what a hotel is. It's the Home Office. You don't think that would be because they're trying to massage the figures, do you? It's a con. We're being conned. We're being cheated. It's not the individual migrant who's doing this. It's our own government, our own politicians, and the unscrupulous hotel owners. And people are losing their jobs as well. This is just can't carry on, can it? What do you think? What's Adam said? Let me just look at this one. Sorry, lost it. Adam, the question is, have we got enough tents and land to put them on? Most of the MOD is off limits due to exercises. Well, that's a good question, Adam, and I asked that of myself, but I've been looking this up. The plan, when Suella came up with this, was to use, is it called Manston? There's a huge, they were going to make it the next London airport. There's a massive old army camp, an RAF airfield. That was one of the places where they could have one of these massive tent cities. Craig says it's ludicrous on Facebook what they're spending. Thank you very much indeed, Craig. So in a minute, I'm going to thank everybody who donated via YouTube yesterday. Superb. Thank you very much indeed. In fact, I'll do it now and then we'll come back to the argument. YouTube donations, that's via Super Chat, Super Stickers, or rewards. See, I've actually looked into it. Denise Deacon, a £5. Thank you very much. Kev Phillips, 150. Steve, 15 quid, but I think he did it twice. Blue Van Man, 3 quid. Dormston Cook, what a man you are. He's given 60 quid, I think it is now. Thank you very much indeed. In installments. Steve, a £5. Daz Wellings, he gave a £5, then he gave 3 quid. Seasider Mark gave a £5. Dave Whiteman gave a £5. And Ian Wilson, I should have mentioned him 2 days ago, he gave a £5. These are all on top of the people who are also giving money on Buy Me a Coffee. It all helps to sustain these podcasts. So thank you very much indeed for doing that for me. All right, let's get back to the argument and then we'll come to your views in a moment. We can't carry on. The British public are fed up. Immigration and border control are top concerns for voters, along with the cost of living. So the question is, will Keir Starmer listen? Or will he again ignore public opinion to protect political correctness? You know how woke he is. He doesn't like to be seen as the baddie, but he's the leader of our country. So the people he should be trying to please are us. He should be trying to do the populist thing. We can't. I mean, also, what happens when the hotels run out? Oh, well, they've got the answer to that, Gaunty. They're now going to rent private houses and put people in there. Madness, complete madness. I said the other day, you've got to deal with the people who are already here. You've got to have a visual deterrent, which is why Rwanda was the idea. But I think we could do it with tent cities here. Let's do it. All talking about treating these people with decency, because we're British. We're tolerant. That's what we do. If there was a humanitarian disaster tomorrow, and let's just face it, there might be in Pakistan and India, the way they're going at each other. But what about when we had the Pakistani floods? Our boys went over there, put up tents and looked after the people. So it's the same kind of thing. This is an emergency crisis, just like a flood, just like an earthquake. And we should treat it in the same way. And if people don't want to go in the tents, feel free. We'll take you back to Calais. And we've got to do something ourselves because the French aren't going to do it for us. How many more millions do you want to give the French? Do you agree with me? So what do you think? Should the UK follow France and Germany's lead and start to use tents almost immediately to house the illegal migrants already here? Is this a sensible solution? Is it a modest proposal? Bit of literature there for you. Or is it a step too far? Put your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this podcast for more honest debate on the issues that matter. I say, let's get the tents up now. Are you with me or against me? If you're watching this later, don't forget you can still press the like button. You can still share it. You can retweet it. Let's get this algorithm moving so more people hear about my show. I'm sorry it's on early today. Something's cropped up, which I've got to go and attend at 7 o'clock tonight. So I couldn't do it at 6:30 and be over where I've got to be in time. So that's why I've done the show now. But that's the glory of the internet, isn't it? The fact that you can watch this later. So if you've come at 6:30 and you've had to find it on the replay, I do apologize, but you can still give us your comments. Do we start tent cities? It's ludicrous what they're spending, John says. Craig. Chopper MK50 says, as a trial run, why don't we send a few thousand migrants to Glastonbury this year? It would also give some of their biggest supporters, the Great Unwashed, the chance to mingle with them. They could share their tents. Yeah, I tell you what we could do at the end of Glastonbury, we could gather up all their tents and use them. No, see, but that's what Andrea Jenkyns. I'm not talking about little tents that you get in Go Outdoors. I'm talking about the big industrial ones that the army use or marquees. And I'm talking about a tent city, medical provision, food, kitchens to cook in, laundries, all of that. So these people are treated with humanity. Because that's important. But by the same token, as I've been saying for weeks as well, let's train a load of people who are coming out of university in how to deal with the claims. You have a couple of top solicitors at the top checking everything, but the routine day-to-day, where you're from, the rest of it, trainees can do, graduates can do. Of course, one of the problems with all of this, and people don't like talking about this, is that most of them have chucked their documents away. So there is a real problem there with ascertaining who's genuine and if they are from Ethiopia or are they from Sudan or are they from wherever. Of course, that's a major problem. But we've got to now be bigger than that. We've got to leapfrog all of that and say, look, we've got 11,000 in since Christmas. It isn't going to slow down. And they're just the ones coming in the boats. Then there's the overstayers. Then there's people coming in the back of lorries. We can't carry on pretending it's not happening. And this is why I can't stand the Guardian reading, muesli eating. Oh, let's go to Catalonia, skinny dipping, Birkenstock wearing with socks, Birks, the uber liberals who would condemn me and call me a racist and a fascist and all things like this. But then you say, what's your solution? And they haven't got one. Or it's let everybody in. We're a rich country. Well, we're not. And we can't afford it. And there are people in this country starving, people without houses. The first role of any government in any country is the protection and the security of its own citizens. That's not fascist. That's not wrong. And also, I'll tell you something else. A country without a border is not a country. It's just a state. Now, that's what the EU wanted us to be, just an area of Europe. You have to have strong border controls. Starmer doesn't understand this. And that's what he's got to be told. And we can't keep on using the RNLI, the lifeboat men and women, as an unofficial taxi service. People are already saying we're not going to give any more money to them. That was people's favourite charity, that and guide dogs for the blind. But what happens? Because politicians don't deal with this, and don't forget the other mob didn't deal with it either, we get a situation where people turn on each other. That can't be allowed to fester. We need to grasp the nettle. And Starmer is the Prime Minister. Labour are in power. They could do this. And I reckon within a week or two, we could have all these tents up. We could have everybody out of the hotels. We could get the hotels reopened, which would help boost the economy. The unscrupulous owners of the hotels can have a slap round the face, although they won't get that, will they? They'll just get loads of money, compensation. And now that was the other thing that the Uber liberals were telling me on Twitter. Oh, you don't think they keep all the furniture there, do you? They move it out. Well, even if they do, they keep the beds there, don't they? They keep facilities there. Oh, I bet you think because it's 4-star, you fat oaf, they're saying to me, you're fascist, that the spa's still open. Well, of course not. I fully expect the spa, the swimming pools, the gym to be closed. Why should they get out all free when we have to pay for it? No. What do you want? What do you want? Hot and cold running benefits as well. It's just outrageous the way these liberals think. And they all work in social services, or they work for the DWP or their civil service. You can just tell the way they write their filth. And also, they're all so left-wing, but they always use the see you next Tuesday word. I think it's terrible. John, I heard the US are going to use Rwanda for their illegal immigrants that we paid for, says Thistle. Yeah, well, we paid and did all the background work, but you're right. Trump is now saying, why don't we use that? That is what he's saying. Because I didn't like Rwanda because I thought, well, no one will go. But I kind of missed the concept of it, which was you only have to send a couple of plane loads and that's enough. Because this is the great thing about the modern world. One thing all of those illegal migrants have got, right? They haven't got any paperwork, but they've all got a mobile phone. They have. So if you start sending videos of people being sent to Rwanda or people having to live in tents, even though the tents would be humane, etc., not so many are going to come. At the moment, whether you like it or not, there's a perception that this is the land of milk and honey. The streets are paved with gold, the old cliches. Because they've been through Germany, France, Belgium, Italy. They know how tough it is there. And then they see on the telly, or not on the telly anymore, on YouTube, that things are better here. We've got to show them, no, it'll still be tough if you come here. Whereas actually what we're showing them at the moment is, no, you'll be fine. Get yourself a motorised bicycle when you get here. Get a headscarf and you can become a Deliveroo deliverer. I mean, it's amazing. How long did it take Farage to make Starmer realise that the proliferation of so-called Turkish barbers and indeed nail bars was a front for drug money? He's now got it, and he's now got the police going in there raiding. It's all too little too late. It's always the same with Starmer. So how long before he realises the people who bring your pizza, your lukewarm pizza to you, are working in the so-called black economy? It's obvious that's what's going on. So we have to stop it. All of these elements have to be stopped. But people must be treated with humanity. They must be treated. Their human rights need to be protected, but their human rights should be somewhere warm to sleep, somewhere food to eat, and proper legal representation. It isn't a 4-star hotel room with squeezy soap and 150 quid a day out of my pocket and your pocket. Am I being wrong? Am I wrong? Why are we letting them in? What is the reason behind letting them in, John? Says Regan and Carter. Who's benefiting from their arrival? Certainly not the British taxpayer. No, I'll tell you, it's the multinational companies, the big delivery companies who are getting cheap labour and turning a blind eye to it, because the rule there is if you get a job delivering, I don't know, pizzas, whatever, we won't just pick on one company. You have to, if you're being employed, provide your national insurance number and the rest of it. The loophole is if you say, no, I'm self-employed, you don't. So all those kids you see driving across dual carriageways on those motorised bikes, which I would ban as well, by the way, they are in the black economy. They say they're self-employed. And the companies go, oh, well, okay, then we don't have to report you. Why? I suppose that's your point, isn't it, Regan? Why are we letting them get away with it? Why are we letting these fat pig capitalists get away with this, these multinationals? Well, it's the same question. Why do we let the big multinationals get away without paying the right amount of tax? Why do we allow that to happen? Well, I suppose because they control everything. I'm becoming an anarchist again, a nihilist. It's wrong. Yes, I agree. And that's what I very much wanted in this debate. I wanted to say, I'm not anti-migrant. I fully understand why they want to come and live in this country and work here. It is a land of great opportunity, just like America. But as Donald Trump has said, you can't let everybody in. Donald Trump, with a tough measures, like I'm suggesting, but a bit tougher than ours, he's reduced his migration to an absolute trickle. Why can't we do that? And the answer is we can. Susan Hanley, I think tents are a really bad idea. They'll be wandering around with no TV or anything to do, getting into trouble and harassing people. Better just put them on planes and deport them. Problem solved. Why make it harder and more dangerous for British people? Police will be rushed off their feet and innocent people will get hurt. She says no to tents. I value your opinion, but I think you need to think it through a bit more, Suzanne. I'm not suggesting tents in the street, which I think Andrea Jenkyns was. I'm saying on big old airfields. I'm talking about security. Somebody earlier said use the army to secure it. I agree with that, Suzanne. And there will be TVs there. There will be entertainment because there has to be. But at the moment, they're wandering about. Do you not live anywhere near a migrant hotel? I'll always remember I was in Italy and they've got the same problem there. And we were up in the hills of Tuscany, but not the Tuscany that all the knobs go to, but the side where the Italians still go, right? And we went right up in this mountain, right, with our Italian friends. And there was a load, I can only describe them as what they were, black African guys sitting on a curb talking. And I said, I haven't seen any black people up here before. Who are they? And Barbara, my friend, said, they're migrants. I said, why have they put them here? Why aren't they in Milano or in Rome? Why are they here? Out in the wilds, halfway up a mountain. That's no good for them. And she said, that's the way it is. But it's not good for them and it's not good for us. And then they sit around and see some of these cultures. And my wife went to Vietnam and when she came back, one of the things she really went on about was the fact that a lot of their life is outside. They cook in the street and they talk in the street. Same in the Caribbean, isn't it? And the same in India, I've noticed. They don't occupy the house. They're mostly outside. And maybe that's where these, because these migrants, where they're coming from, they're the same. So they like to congregate outside. We see that as a threat. Maybe we shouldn't, but people do. It's about perception. But that's about, you can't just flood an area. This is where, in small villages, they've taken over several hotels, smashed in loads of people. No one knows who they are. And then mistrust builds because the politicians don't have to worry about it because they're not living by them. And that's not me saying all migrants are crooks, baddies, rapists, because they're quite clearly not. But it does worry me that the majority of the people who I see getting out of their boats at Dover are men. Not only men, they're men of fighting age. That scares the hell out of me. Carol Walker, we already have people living in tents in our town. They're probably armed forces veterans. That's a very good point. I'm glad you brought it up, Carol, on YouTube, because When I was living in Leamington Spa, this would be, how many years ago would that be? I think I was on Talk Sports still at the time, so it was a long time ago. And I was down by the river, the River Lem. It's beautiful. Goes through there, goes through this park. And Lisa said, "Did you just hear something over there in the hedgerows?" I said, "No, I'm deaf." So she said, "Listen again." And we could hear movement. I said, "I'll probably be an animal or birds or whatever." Then this bloke comes out. He'd been an English bloke. He'd been living in a tent hidden in by the river. And then so we got talking to him. Then over the weeks, we found out there were quite a few people living there in tents. And they weren't causing a problem. They weren't leaving litter or anything. And I remember saying, I think I went on the radio and said it. Is this the 5th largest economy in the world? And we got people if this was midwinter, it was bloody freezing. Got people in tents. And as you say, Carol, they may well be people, armed force people. I don't know. All I know is I want every single veteran to have a house or a flat first before, call me a racist if you want, before any foreigner. I'm sorry. They've served our Queen and our King and our country. They're first. They're first. Susan Hanley says they're already wandering around, intimidating people, etc. She's talking about people in hotels. Just put them all as they arrive on an isolated island in the North Sea. It'll be cheaper to let them live there in a free hotel with everything provided. I know where the emotion's coming from, Margaret, but it's not very humane, is it? And I think we can afford to be humane. That's what I'm trying to say. But tough. I'm talking tough love, right? And I'm saying we can't have them all in. We can't accept everybody. Because do you know the next scandal that's coming down the line? Remember where you heard it first, because this used to happen in London. There's going to be an amnesty. They won't call it an amnesty, but that's what will happen. I've already been told, I've got friends who are human rights lawyers. I don't want to say any more than that. Some of you know who I'm talking about. And they reckon that already people are being told, get them through, get them through. More and more people are being accepted. And what they'll do in the end, they won't have an amnesty and just say, well, everyone who's here already, you can stay. They just make it much easier. That's what's going to happen. That's the next big scandal. That's why they're not bothered about tents and they're not bothered about dealing with it. I'm saying let's deal with it now and deal with it in a fair, equitable and honourable way. Thistle, we must go back to 6:30 as soon as possible because everyone's obviously talking about it and then ringing up and getting on. What happened to the Bibi Stockholm barge, says Thistle. Oh, yeah, well, that was okay for our troops. That was okay for our workers when they were doing things in Afghanistan, but not good enough for refugees or economic migrants or asylum seekers. No, the Human Rights Brigade got involved and we couldn't have it. That's what happened with that. It's just plain madness what's going on. Utter madness. It's like that bloke who owns the Camelot's Castle Hotel. Have you seen him on GB News down in Cornwall? He got approached. Could we use your hotel? It's a massive luxury 5-star hotel. And they offered him 2 years' money or something. He said no. And they said, why? He said, well, because all the people who live in Tintagel, the majority of them either work for my hotel or work in the grounds or have their weddings here or know somebody who works here. He said, they'd basically crucify me. I'm the major employer. No. And I take my hat off to him. He's also against it on a political level. But imagine, it must be hard to turn the money down if you're a hotelier. I've got another friend in Warwickshire. He was approached and he just spent all this money doing his hotel up. He didn't want to do it. And they said, well, don't worry. If anything's damaged, we'll put everything so it's even better when we finish with it in 2 years than you got it now. Well, as a normal bloke, that's hard to turn down. So I feel for the hoteliers. I don't feel for the multinationals who are ripping us off. Because also, should it be 150 quid if you've not got the full service? That's a good question. One of the left-wingers on Twitter brought that up, and I thought, well, that's not a bad point, that. But as usual, as with COVID, the rich get richer, the friends of the politicians, no matter what political party is in power, gets most of the dosh. Now, we've got 8 likes. I don't want to go until I've got 10. Press the button. Let's get a couple more likes. We haven't had any donations today. Don't forget, you can do that if you fancy. Just press on the heart, press on the donate button now. £1, £2, surely I'm worth that. That would be good if you could. If not, later on, why don't you buy me a coffee? www.buymeacoffee.com. Don't forget, if you're new to this, you haven't seen it before, I try to do one every day, Monday to Thursday at 6:30 live, but you can always watch them again later. Doing this one earlier because I've got something I've got to do, something's come up, I've got to deal with it this evening, so I can't do it today. But also I do extra shows. I mean, yesterday I did 2 shows, so already I've done more shows this week than I normally do. I just do it when I feel like it. That's the beauty. That's the liberating thing of the internet and my technical facilities I've got here. And if you're wondering what my technical facilities are, there's a green screen here behind me, which I'll show you one day. And it's my computer. And it's a few lights, which a guy called Adam, who's a fan of mine, got for me, gave me them. That's fantastic. That's like the donations. I couldn't have done any of this. I could not have got this show to the stage I've got it to without people putting their hand in the pocket and chucking a few quid in the virtual bucket, so to speak. So thank you very much. Right, I've got to stop because I've got to get this all packaged up and get it out so you can watch it on replay. We didn't get 10 likes today, which is a shame. Just got 9. Never mind. I'm sure they'll come another day. Don't forget, it's always on YouTube, Twitter, and it's on Facebook. And soon it's going to be on a few other platforms. Oh, and if you've not followed me yet, I'm now on that TikTok thing that all the kids love. And what we do there, we've got AI, my mate AI. He cuts up. It was a free thing that my streaming people gave me. They cut up my videos. I don't know how they do it, because they do it almost instantaneously into like little 30-second, 40-second clips. And then I bung them up on, what's it called? TikTok. And people seem to love it. People seem to love them. Maybe that's because we've all got the attention span of a gnat now. I don't know. But the amount of downloads I get for them, just incredible. So check me out on there. It's called, I think it's Official Jon Gaunt, because there's a few other kids on there before me. So Official Jon Gaunt, I'm on there. John Runcorn. Is that John Runcorn who used to run the Town Wall Tavern? I hope it is. It's reopened, John. Nice to see you again, mate, if it is. All right, I'm off. If you've got kids, this is the most important thing. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Don't forget to tell them you love them. I'll be back tomorrow at 6:30. Hope you can join me then. You can always catch up later. And don't forget, if you've missed anything today, you can always listen on the podcast as well. They're on all the major platforms if you're out walking your dog. Chopper Mark MK50 says, thanks, Gaunty. That conversation was intense. Don't worry, he's here all week. See you, says Thistle. See you, guys. Speak to you again tomorrow. Thanks for all your help and all your support and for watching. See you later. All the best. Now I can't turn it off.